Alright guys, Matt Lemke here with Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggle.com, and today we're going to take a look at Sovietski World Book 36 for Rifts, made by Palladium Books. And first things first, thank you Kevin for giving this to me at Gen Con. At the end, we're going to briefly talk about my thoughts of Sovietski compared to Rifts World Book. Sovietski Raw Edition, there's only 150 copies of these in the world, probably plus 10 for everybody in the office. Because that's what I would do. Anyway, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So I said that I was going to wait to compare this, but I'm going to start by doing this. Raw Edition is 160 pages to 221 pages. Now, we're going to fly through this book. I've filmed this 3 times now, and I can't get it under 30 minutes, and I really want to get this down to about 15 to 20. So, there's a lot of her early history. There's actually pre-Rifts history about Sovietski culture in this book. And that's actually where pretty much first page starts. It talks about a revolutionary war, and then the rise of the Sovietski. They have a little falling out with China. And how cybernetics became important in their culture, society, and economy. And then, boom, Rift Storm comes. All the hell opens up, whatever you want to imagine. Spirals spin out of space and tear this world apart magically. And they disappear underground into bunkers for 80 years. And when they resurface, aren't they in for a surprise? And that's when some key events happen from like 100 to 109 PA in the Rifts universe. And one of those cooler things, I think, is one of their first challenges, which I think was 106 PA, was plans of the Broadkill making a war with the Sovietski. And that's an interesting read. Now, one of the cool things about this history line is I can't think of another spot in Rift's lore where you have a history pre-fall, during the fall, because they do talk about what happens in the 80 years of the storm. I'm not going to ruin anything or tell you how much, but I'll give you an idea of how much there can be. So there's history starts on page 8, and on page 16 we're talking about notable events from 105 to 109 PA. So that gives you an idea of the prehistory, the Rifts history, or the storm history, and the post history. But what I thought was cool is within the first 100 years roughly of resurfacing, this section of humanity is fighting a war against demons. I can't think of anything. I mean, there probably is in other books. I mean, this lore is so rich, right? But I thought that was very cool. And then it talks about the cities, different parts of the history, government. It talks about the government. It talks about communism. It talks about the Planning Bureau and everything from the Communist Party to religion. And then as the book goes on, it pulls through that. There's a big section on foreign relations. It's about 4 or 5 pages, which I think is big for a campaign setting. It talks about a lot of the different cities. Here's a good picture for you to take a look at. There's not a lot of art in the book, but there is some art, and we're gonna blow through the city. So I said that they went underground into a bunker. Now the Sovietski is littered. The area is littered with bunkers, and there's even they went through and came up with a random bunker creation table. I was going to create one for this, but I didn't take the time because I wasn't sure if you guys would appreciate it. If you would like me to do things like that in the future with Rifts books, let me know. And maybe I'll create something and I'll be like, bam, here's my bunker. Or maybe I'll do it as like a little 5-minute side video. And then there's different things. I mean, they put a lot of thought into the bunkers. There's basically what the bunkers do, types of security, what condition the bunker is in, and then they move into life of the Sovietski, or life in the Sovietski. And one of the first things they talk about is magic. And I can't sum it up any better than practitioners of magic are looked upon with a wary, uneasy eye by most citizens, and with a certain level of paranoia. So that pretty much sums up what they think about magic. Kind of Coalition-esque, but softer. But their view on psionics is much different. They actually kind of consider them to be the next step in humanity, which is something that I would have anticipated somewhere else in the world. And then they have views on outsiders and DBs. They vary. There are some DBs that they accept pretty regularly, or they just pretty much open arms, and then others not so much. So the more you get into magic kind of using type of stuff, or a little bit what they would consider abnormal from their state, is frowned upon. So there's a list of certain ones. I think it's on page 61. DBs that are accepted are the Gridgets, the Shushum, and the Wolverine people. And we'll get to those, and I'll show you some pictures when we get that far. It's not going to be that long. But lastly, Life in the Sovietski is, this is, I think, the first Rift book that ever really does this. They touch on different religious enclaves. I haven't read into them in depth. I just kind of read over them. And the feel I get is that they've grown out of the Russian Catholic Orthodox Church, and they've evolved through different influences. I kind of envision it as they have, not cells, but in the bunkers, maybe this bunker was exposed to something, and the Church of Atom Watchers evolved out of it. And that's how I see it. That's not necessarily the correct way. And then also in the Sovietski, there's dead zones. And dead zones are areas that are not habitable by humanity. Other things can live there. You can use it for all kinds of story hooks and plots, or you can railroad people with it. And then it talks about also holiday festivals. Now, one of the neater things, and this kind of gets into the lifestyle of a bunker, and I think maybe this was something that they might have failed on a little bit too. But chance encounters. There is a chance encounter table that says basically you roll on it and you see if your characters know each other. There's a good chance that they actually do. Somehow their paths have crossed. They met each other. They might have just been playing a card game together. So here's one. Both characters have heard about a strange theft or a series of thefts and rumors something strange is going on. That's not what I was looking for. Here we go. Both characters have met or know or have considered joining a mercenary and or adventurer group composed of outsiders from other lands. So something that ties your characters together. Now, some of this is not is fragmented and not directed towards the players somehow crossing paths. And what I gathered from reading the book last night was that they went into the bunkers. They hid there for 80 years, protected themselves, I should say, from the world outside that was tearing itself apart. And what I suspect from reading the book is that you didn't go underground in Sovietski and be able to go from Moscow to Chernobyl to Kiev. Those bunkers were isolated from each other from what I read. So I would have liked to seen a lot more stuff, information on what their life was like or is like, still utilizing some of these bunkers. And I think that's where maybe they missed an opportunity. So here's your DBs. Here's Gridgets. Bam. And then the Shushum, they look like little gnomes, old gnomes. And, well, the Wolverine people, which is probably what I'm going to like the most because Logan. And then after that, there's a couple other RCCs, but we move into the Soviet Army. And again, there's not a lot of pictures here, but there's a few pages on like training, how they're raised. They talk about how no other army in Rift's world is trained as hard as these people are, which is pretty significant. New and revised skills lists, descriptions, and then the first OCC in the book is the Coldborn. And I actually have to take this real quick. It's my wife. All right. And before I realized they were in alphabetical order, I thought it was really cool that it was first, because it tells you how important the psionic classes are in the book to the people. But it's alphabetical. And then the next thing I really kind of want to talk about, okay, cyborgs. I didn't touch on this yet. Well, I did. Cybernetics were important pre-rifts. They're still super important. There are cybernetics that have been, cyborgs and things that have been retired, that are in storage, that are waiting to have a button pushed so that they can come to life, be revived, and defend Sovietski. So, they're everywhere. Even animals, which we will talk about in a little bit. There's police officers, revised and expanded, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Sovietski tankers, and there is a section. So one of the things that's different to me, I don't remember seeing this in any other Rift's World book, is that the soldiers of the Sovietski, you go ahead and make their characters up, and then instead of picking your skills individually from you get this many, this many, this many, they have MOSs, so you get packages. So you pick demolitions, and you get a demolitions package. And we'll look at the Spetsnaz, which is right here, because they have the Spetsnaz in, or Spetsnaz, however you say it, I don't know. In where's the first page? Oh, is that it? Yeah. All right. And there's 3 divisions of the Spetsnaz. The Division for Detection and Suppression of Supernatural Threats. Good division to have. The Committee of State Security, the KGB. Or Foreign Military Intelligence and Infiltration, spies. But we're going to take a look here. There's a whole list of Spetsnaz types of different MOSs. So let's take guerrilla warfare. Or where are they at? So, camouflage or detect ambush, demolitions, land navigation, prowl, running, swimming, or climbing, tracking, trap or mine detection, wilderness survival, weapon proficiency of choice, and then of course all of your SDC and ME modifiers and stuff. Now with that, they even have a citizen OCC, which is, in my opinion, probably should be left as an NPC. And then there's a section on cyborgs. And they have cyborgs. Actually, this is probably a full conversion cyborg right there on the cover. That thing is massive. And then there's even ones that are bigger than that. So flying through that here. Oh no, that's armor. That picture's in here again. There's a Firebird heavy machine, and I mean he's got a lot of weapons and loadouts. He's got a palm flamethrower, a vibro sword, some cool stuff. One of the cooler ideas they have for a cyborg is the motorcycle guy. I like him. I just love the concept. It takes me back to being 6 with toys that did that. And probably my favorite picture in the whole book is the animal cyborg picture. I'm not going to delve into this cyborg stuff too much. I mean, at this point, it's pretty common stuff. We understand it in Rifts. There's a ton of increased technology in the book. And then we move into combat vehicles. And the only thing I really want to talk about in combat vehicles a little bit is some of the pictures. Here is a one-man kind of fighter pilot type of vehicle. Looks like he's flying a railgun. And here's a great picture that depicts the Broadkill War, or maybe not the war. And this picture right here, I believe, is a tank drawn by Stephen Cummings, who's done a lot of stuff like for Wayward. They just finished Wayward. And that's pretty much it. The rest of the book is vehicles, the appendixes, or the charts at the end that you need. Here is the Sovietski Red Nova armor, which is actually really cool looking armor. It's oh yeah. I can't forget this. Two things: the Dragunov rifle. Well, yeah, the Dragunov rifle. It looks like the Dragunov that I kind of always wanted as a child. And the AK-47 has been converted. Beautiful stuff. I'm glad that they held true to that and they did that. And of course there's vibro swords and sticks and other things of the nature. So what do I think of this world book? Full of loads of content, lots of opportunities to role play at all different times within Rift's history. Within Rift's history, not pre. Gives you a little bit more in-depth knowledge of the Storm. Not as much as you'll find in the core book, but tons of tanks and things like that. And it's definitely standalone. You don't need any other books to use this. Definitely worth the $26. Now, where are its faults? I think it suffers from not having enough art. The other thing is I think they missed a couple of opportunities within the story to delve into the bunker lifestyle and how that works. But other than that, it's solid. And again, since that's content related, it's just my opinion. Now, how does it compare to Rift's Raw Edition? Well, there's definitely more art. That's one of the things. Everything in this book is pretty much expanded from this book, and I've read them both, and I didn't compare word for word or anything like that. That would be like crazy impossible. I'm almost 100% positive that every word from this book is in this book. This is $25. This is $26.95 retail. Hands down, this is worth $2 more. This is limited to 150 copies. So I'm struggling to myself as a GM and a player as to whether or not this is worth the $25 investment. There's so much more content in here to complete this book that I don't know if it being limited to 150 copies makes it worth the $25. Now, if they did something cooler on the cover, I mean, it is unique art. There's only 150 copies of it. But if they did something like if Kevin signed every copy, or if they did something that was only available in this book, then I would definitely say, man, it's all the way. Now, if you're a collector, hands down, you buy it because the 150 copies is cool. If you're a gamer and a collector, you definitely buy both and put this away and never touch it. If you're a game master and a player and you don't collect, then this is the way to go. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in the link below. And my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.